Okay guys, today we're going to be rounding numbers to a given degree of accuracy. So I'm going to be giving you a number and telling you what degree of accuracy I want it rounded to. So it'll be to the nearest 10, 100 or 1000 generally. You're going to be successful today by using your knowledge of place value within a number. You're going to understand how to find multiples of 10, 100 and 1000 both above and below a given number on a number line. And some of you will be able to use that knowledge in order to estimate answers to calculations. So, how would I round this number to the nearest 1000? First of all, I've written my number out and I have added my place value columns above it. So I have 28,424. So straight away, I've drawn my number line and I'm going to write 28,424 somewhere roughly in the middle of my number line. Okay. Now, in order to figure out whether I'm rounding back or forward, I'm going to need to find or work out the multiples both behind and forward on my number line. Now, my question says to the nearest 1000. Okay. So, to find my nearest multiple of 1000, if I was to count back on my number line, the best way I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything after the thousands column. Now I'm not going to be counting back to 28 because that's not what it says. It says 28,000. So if I was to be counting back to the nearest multiple of 1000, I'd be counting back to that 8,000, the 28,000 there. If I was to count forward on my number line to the nearest multiple of 1000, I would go up to 29,000. So again, I'm only looking at the thousands column at the moment. So once I have found my multiples of 1000, both counting back and counting forward, then I need to decide which one my 28,424 rounds to, because I haven't answered the question yet. Now in order to do that, I'm going to use my phrase at the bottom. 0 to 4, touch the floor. 5 to 9, climb the vine. So my question is asking me to round the number to the nearest 1000. That means that my hundreds column is the column that's going to determine whether I round forward or back. So it's always the column behind. Now, 0 to 4 touch the floor. I've obviously got a 4 in my hundreds column, so I know that my 28,424 is going to round back to 28,000. So I'm going to circle that one there. Let's have a look at another one. How would I round this number to the nearest 10, 100, thousands and 10,000? So I'm just going to pick one to show you. So I'm going to do the nearest 100, I think. So in order to do that, first of all, I'm going to write my number in the middle of my number line. So I've got 295,739. I now need to find my multiples of 100, because that is what I'm going to be rounding it to. That would be back and forward. So again, the best way I've found doing this is to cover everything behind it. So I know that if I rounded back, the nearest multiple of 100, if I counted back on my number line, would just be that 700. Obviously I need to remember the rest of my digits. There it is, that's 700 there. And if I counted forward, I would count on to the nearest 100, which would be the 800. But I do need to remember the rest of my digits. So 295,800 this time. So now I've got my multiples of 100 either side. I'm going to remove the part that I have covered. And my tens column this time is going to determine whether I round forward or back, because it is the one behind the hundreds that it has asked me to look at. So 3 is 0 to 4 touch the floor, so 3 would mean I round back. If that digit was an 8, very cleverly made there, then it would be forward, and I would circle 295,800. Fortunately it's not, so I've answered the question. Your task now is to roll a dice if you have one, or spin if you have one, or if you want someone at home to create a number for you, that would work as well. So you're going to create, it's up to you, a 5, a 6 or 7 digit number. It can include zeros at any point as well. You're going to identify the multiples of 10, 100 and 1000. your number falls between, just like I have here. On here I was unable to draw a number line, but I would expect a number line and your original number in the middle, just like I showed you. And then for each of them, you're going to round it to its nearest 10, 100 and 1,000 using your number line. Okay, it says underline, don't mind if you circle. Your harder challenge is looking at rounding to the nearest 10,000s and 100,000s also. Once you've done that, your task 2, you have some varied fluency questions, and your task 3, you have a few worded problems to solve. Again, answers are underneath. Just to remind you, you do a question, you mark it. If it's wrong, you have another go. It can be in another pen, a different colour pen if you wanted to. If you got it right, give it a tick. If you've got it wrong twice, again, send it in at the end of the day with all your other work. Your teacher will have a look at it, and we will send you and give you some feedback and see where you've gone wrong.